So first of all, congratulations on the film. It's very intense, but very heartfelt and emotional as well.
Thank you, thank you.
So when you're enacting a script about one of the worst days in the history of Mumbai, how do you get into that mind frame?
I don't know, it's really hard. For homework, we watched the documentary, and also just there's so much footage, whether it's on YouTube, old news clips, and Anthony, our director, amazing director, was so good at giving us material to prepare. But there's really no way of, if you've never experienced anything like that, to put yourself in the place of those people, those heroes, and the victims. And the preparation was just the amazing script that Anthony and John Colley wrote, and just putting yourself, fully immersing yourself in that world.
When your character speaks in her mother tongue, her loyalties are questioned. So I thought that was really eye-opening.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting because that voice that you hear on the other end of the phone is actually my real mother.
Oh,
and
right.
and she obviously is speaking to me in Persian, and I love that moment, and that character specifically, she's ignorant, and she comes up to meet myself, and so it's Zara and Dev's character, Arjun, and says, these sort of bigoted things, and but it's out of ignorance. And it's interesting that she has her sort of real teaching moment in that moment. She wakes up to the reality of the situation, and that we're all in it together. But yeah, this concept of being other, different than, really doesn't exist when we're all under threat and danger, because bullets don't discriminate. So I think that was a very important moment, both for Dev's character and my character, to have that interaction with someone who sees us as other.
Right, and like you said, it's not just a story of terror, but it's also about socioeconomic divide and religion. So how important is it to bring this story to a wider audience?
It's so important. I think outside of it being based on a true story, and outside of it being about this horrific real life event, it's such an examination of an array of raw human reactions to class divides, and to chasms between us, whether it's socioeconomical or it's religious or ethnic, or our nationalities, and how we react to that in moments like that, when we're faced with tragedy and just a threat, existential threat that threatens us all, and there's no discrimination in that, so we have to band together and overcome. And it's really about the resilience of the human spirit, and I think people can relate to that, and that's the beauty of the film. And it's hard, I don't know how Anthony pulled it off, but to have such a tragic event portrayed for 2 hours, and have the end of it be so uplifting after such tragedy. And if you think about it, there were more than 500 people, and the vast majority, other than 32 victims, survived. And that's a miracle, and what they carried forward, the sense of hope. I think audiences will really enjoy this film.
I definitely hope they do. It was very uplifting. You shot some pretty traumatic scenes, especially as a wife, as a mother as well. So getting into that mind frame, how did you prepare for that?
It's really hard, because the character definitely has an arc. She starts off as this privileged, carefree, golden spoon in her mouth her entire life, and she finds herself in the space of 3 days where this attack took place. She has to dig deep into herself and her soul, and find her strength and her resilience, and this sort of face these things that she's never had to face before in her life, not even in a minor sense. And the love of her child and her family really drives her to overcome, and to empower her to find that strength within.
This film is about showcasing heroes. So who's the hero in your life?
I mean, I have to say my parents. My parents are definitely my heroes. My mother, as a woman, as a very strong woman, has always been, she's overcome so much, and she's taught me how to overcome so much. But to me, there are so many heroes who are wrongfully imprisoned in Iran today, because they're fighting for their rights. the right to the freedom of speech and thought and religion and expression and so many other rights, and they every day they inspire me.
Thank you so much for chatting with us. You definitely did an amazing job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.